Hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. Today, I am so excited to introduce our amazing guest for the day, Karen Briscoe. Karen, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, I am thrilled to be with your community of passive income unlocked uh, um, listeners because that is one of the keys to long-term life success. So I'm thrilled to have been able to have a conversation with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, excited to get into your story and your work and what you've written about relating to life success. So let's get into it. Karen is the creator of the transformative 5 minute success concept. Her first book, Real Estate Success in 5 Minutes a Day, secrets of a top agent revealed, and commit to get leads 66-day challenge. So she's just got a wealth of experience as a real estate agent. She's an author, she's a coach. Why don't you start us off, Karen, by telling us a little bit about how you decided to get into the real estate space and why?
Well, I started out my career in dirt right out of college. So I've been doing this a while with a large developer, residential property developer in Texas, Trammell Crow. And that's where we buy land, put it streets and utilities, sell lots to home builders. Fast forward to getting married, having two children, my husband's career moving us to the Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. metro region. And I focused on our raising our children in the early years because my husband's career required a lot of travel and I just couldn't see how to do it. I have such great respect for people who do. And when I wanted to re-enter the workforce, I had opportunity to stay on the commercial side and work for the Starbucks company and had the Nextel account. And that was the sales and engineering and warehouse offices all throughout the United States. So a couple of things happened at Nextel. One is that I found it to be extremely boring. I was like, wow, you've seen one, you've seen them all. And then it
Yeah.
was also around the time of the tech bust. So I've been through a few market corrections and recognized the handwriting on the wall. There is really very little money in disposition. And so I had an opportunity to go to the residential side. And I will say there is this perception in the industry on the commercial side that those residential people do all of the soft skills. It's very emotional and, people, take their home personally. And the hard skills of the commercial side of negotiations, market knowledge, strategy, a word is much in demand. But what I found was I really had both. And I really enjoyed being a part of people's lives and helping them make the largest decision. Now I'm in a market area where it's a very sophisticated clientele. Our average sales price is $1 million. So people that are buying and selling homes at that price point. They respect the fact that there's a lot of um, financial considerations and market knowledge and negotiation skills required. So I met with a perfect match, right? Met with success rapidly, and that led to becoming partners with, at the time, she was number 10 agent in the nation.
Wow.
And yeah, so that was '06. And I'm sure, your community of investors remember that that was about when the market was peaking. And
Mhm.
then I took over the business in '08, and sadly she passed away. Well, that was when the financial markets crashed along with the real estate market. So here I had this big business and not enough revenue coming in. And I, again, had been through had the muscle memory of a couple market corrections by then. And so I set about rebuilding the business and brought on my current partner, Lissy Conroy, who's been with me since 2009. And we regrew the business. So 2020, even with a pandemic, we crossed over the $100 million mark. And then
Of real estate sold.
2021 of real estate sold.
Amazing. Mhm.
That's a lot of houses. Again, though, our average sales price $1 million, so it's 100 houses. Still a lot of real estate. And then in
Absolutely.
2021, when this time of this is recording, by into third quarter 2021, we already passed 100 million. So we have what's known as a mega team, mega agent team, even though that the production's done with 3 agents. So
Wow.
we're,
Wait, did you say 100 million just in 2021 between the three of you? Is that
Yes.
wow? Wow,
Yes.
that is
Yes.
a quite
Yes.
a large volume for sure.
So what happened when I was rebuilding the company? Many people wanted to know how I did it, right? Because a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, those that survived the correction, the crash, right? Uh, that came out on the other side, they had stories to tell, but I had a two-sided story to tell. My partner passed away along with taking over a big business that then, was not uh, doing well during
This
the
is your business
correction.
partner?
Yeah, my first business partner,
Mhm.
and then bringing on another business partner. So that was led to me sharing in training and coaching and speaking the stories of how I did that. And it came out that there was these sticky uh, points to it. And that led to many people saying I should write a book. So my first book was published in 2016, and that was the Real Estate Success in 5 Minutes a Day. That led the next year to the podcast, 5 Minute Success, which is now over 200,000 downloads, 400 episodes. And
Congratulations.
thank you. Being a guest on multiple podcasts, such as yourself, probably in the hundreds, and then three more books since then. So it's been, and a coaching uh, clientele as well. So it's been quite a journey, and I'm thrilled to be here to share with your community on how I can help them achieve a higher level of success as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, ton of respect to you for growing your business and regrowing it, et cetera. Let's dive into some of the success principles that you write about. 5 minutes a day. Tell us.
Well, so the 5 minutes a day came about. Many people in, well, I would say many professionals seem to not have enough time, right? Because that is the one commodity that is not reoccurring. So once you've used that time, you don't have it. And many people want to invest in their personal and business development, but again, time is the issue. So I was like, well, do you have 5 minutes a day? Because it has been proven principles of, it's called Parkinson's law, that limiting and restricting time can actually help people be more effective and efficient. What often happens in training or coaching or reading a book, people, they become overwhelmed with the tsunami of information and then they don't recall it, and they don't have a aren't in a position to be able to apply it when they do. So that's where the 5 minute success concept came about. And yet, even with that core concept, there are key principles to success. And it's real estate success, although I have found now that I've interviewed over 400 people that it does apply in a lot of professions and industries. And those key principles are, the first one is commit to get leads. Everybody is in some form of lead generation business. I mean, you're a podcast host, you're lead generating to get guests on the podcast. If you're an investor in real estate, you're lead generating in the deals to find the deals. You may also be lead generating to come up with the money, right? So everybody's doing that. It really is a commitment, because the people that do it successfully ongoing are the ones that are going to uh, not be on that roller coaster of, only as good as your next deal. Then there is this consult to sell principle of conversion. You have a lead or you have a deal, and you have to do something with it in order to have it generate an outcome. So if you're an investor, you have to go through all the processes of buying the deal and then putting it into place, set up the management or whatever principles that you're going to use to create this passive income, unlock it. Then what often happens is people get stuck on just a hamster wheel. So, like, they wake up, they get a lead, they get a deal, they go do it, and then they wake up and do it all over again. And to get off that, to build, create something that you can connect to build and grow, which is the next principle. Those are leverage, those are scale, those are those principles that, and really passive income is clearly one of those principles, but to create these systems. To sustain all of that on an ongoing basis requires a mindset motivation. And that I call success thinking, activities, and vision. You have a
Uh-huh.
vision for what you want in your life and in your business. You think about how to do it. You take the actions to put it into place. So that's the overall of the 5-minute success concepts.
Okay. Awesome. I
A
love it.
lot to unpack there.
Yeah, totally. Let's start unpacking that. So how do you get set up to, so what does the 5 minutes look like? Let's start there and then we can back up as needed.
So the book is set up like a what would be known as a daily reader, like motivational, spiritual literature, because there's a lot of real estate books out there. And I was like, okay, if I write one more real estate book, but it doesn't have any impact, if it
Mhm.
doesn't change, help people achieve a higher level of success, then it's just going to go on the shelf, right?
Yeah.
So that's it's what I call a new delivery method. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the 5-minute success book. The idea of putting something into practice that is a personal or business development, either reading or some sort of, well, reading is what most people do. Doing it in small, bite-sized pieces, if you will, can have a number of positive impacts. One is you will be more likely to remember it, so you will be able to apply it. You will be more likely to have the ripple effect. So, like that one concept could ripple out to other possible concepts. Sometimes it snowballs, sometimes it builds and grows. Sometimes it knocks over a domino, like you'll have this one concept of lead generation and it will knock over other lead generation strategies or success principles. So
Yeah.
there's many ways that the 5-minute success can benefit. The idea of if those people that use the book or listen to the audio, they're going to get one idea a day. It's going to be out of those 4 core principles. And then you can use that to apply again in your business or your life.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So with the 5 minutes a day, is that in just a reading or what is included in that?
So it is a reading. Again, it takes about 5 minutes, or you can listen to the audiobook. And then it has a takeaway.
Mhm.
So the idea is you want to apply
Mhm.
in some fashion or format as soon as you can, because it'll be more likely to have an impact, or you'll remember
Yeah,
it when you
absolutely.
next
Just
need
taking
it.
in information doesn't necessarily move the needle,
Yes,
right? You have to take
right.
in knowledge and then implement it somehow.
Yes, because the information that is just entertainment if it isn't applied
It's
in many
just nice.
cases, which
Yes.
can be too. I'm not saying you can't read for entertainment, but if you're reading to, move the needle on your, and unlocking passive income for your life, the definition of, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, right? So if you want to change, what is in your life and business now, and you have to do something different. And if changing the way you look at things might just start that process going, and again, you could have one of those many impacts.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. So what would be like an example of something that you would maybe talk about? So are these in like little 5-minute chunks? Am I understanding that correctly? Okay.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
So for example, under commit to get leads, many people say, well, where do you start, right? So where are the deals, right? Everybody's like, where are the deals, where are the deals? And there's the strategies of, you could block time for that, and many people do that successfully. Some people, that is effective for them because they become distracted by other things happening. Uh, and so one strategy is what I call activity blocking. And that is to set a certain number of contacts a day that you're going to make.
Mhm.
And I will pretty much the entire 20-year career, I have done 5 a business day, 5 a day. I make contacts. And the consistency of that is what is the key strategy. You'll be able to track which leads often lead to business, or more likely to lead to business.
Mhm.
You'll be able to track, where your business is coming from, and you'll also be able to track what your conversion ratio is too, right? Many people, they don't exactly know where their business is coming from. They don't know what they could do to recreate business, and so that's one of the strategies, for example, in the commit to get leads section.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Being a little bit analytical with your particular success so that you can figure out where you can double down to get the better results.
And I have done that. People have said, well, in this 20 years, if you ever stopped lead generating, I'm like, well, yes, I actually did take what I called a sabbatical when I was writing my book, and I took 3 months off. And I would have thought at, 15 years in, I would have had enough of a flow pipeline that I could do that. And I woke up January 2016 and I didn't have anything coming in. I was like, wow, I need to double time. I
Yeah.
made a commitment to double time, and I refilled the pipeline and had my best year ever. So uh, the there's ways to, if you want to accelerate your success, there are also times where I do not work when I'm taking time off. And because I do what I call front loading or backfilling on those days, that is where, again, I develop the consistency that have found to be successful for me and many other people I've coached.
Okay, interesting. So when you say what exactly is entailed in front loading or backfilling?
So let's say you commit to the 5 a day for 5 every business day that you're working. So that's 25 a week. Well, let's say, one day you're focused on, you get distracted with a deal that's blowing up or something and needs your attention.
Yeah.
You're stuck in the conversion, right? You're trying to keep the deal together and you don't do your 5 that day. So then the next day and the next day you would backfill until you got that caught up, if you will. Front
Yes.
loading is where you're looking ahead and going, okay, I've got one day next week where I'm going out and I'm going to actually, be doing on site, at my properties, or looking for scoping out my next opportunities. And I'm not going to have a day where I'm going to be able to make 5 contacts. So that. So you work ahead, and that would be front loading.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you give yourself the opportunity to catch up beforehand, or if you missed it afterwards. Yeah, and I think that is it's important, right? Because consistency is how we can develop our business. Like, we need to be consistent above all else, and also, I mean, we need to figure out what's working and do that. But if we lack consistency, then it's hard to gain momentum. So
Yes, and that is the if one of the most, what I found most important keys to success, because people start to achieve some success and then they get busy doing the deal, and then they get off of the lead gen, and then they'll wake up and not have any deals. So that's where that one principle, I think, could have a lot of positive impact for your clients and
yeah, for sure.
folks on your audience.
Awesome. So, I know something else you also talk about is how to go from time poverty to having a higher level of success. Is that something that you talk about in your book? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so the idea of time poverty is actually not new. It's age old. Lazu, 2,500 years ago, said, time is a created thing. To say I don't have time is like saying I don't want to. So if you just think about it, and I've had this in my life as well, if I say I don't have enough time to do something I want to do, is there something else going on? Because we all have the same amount of time in a day, right? What I find happens with many people, particularly successful people, right? They're working their way up what I call Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And if you may recall this from your psychology days, that there's these basic human needs, physical needs that people have. And if you think back to the early days of the pandemic, and what were people focused on? They were focused on toilet paper. Yeah, that's about as basic physical need as you could get, right? The next human need is safety and security. Again, very highly um, risen consciousness on that during the pandemic, and still to this day, people are very focused on their safety and security and their family safety and security. Then you have the esteem needs, relationship needs. Then you have self-actualization.
Mhm.
Well, what happens with working your way up the pyramid is oftentimes people run out of time for doing that self-actualization work. Some people call that flow, some people meaningful work, some people call it your zone of genius, the things that are going to actually, first of all, be meaningful to you, but second of all, are going to have the most impact.
Mhm.
And people talk about the idea of, um, you know, work time balance. It really isn't a balance, because the thing is if you think about it from a balance perspective, if you were focusing on life, your family, or the things that are important to you, and that means your work is going to suffer because you're, if you're trying to achieve a balance, but then you focus on your work and then what your life and your family is going to suffer. I mean, why would that be something we would want to achieve? The idea I found that is that if you flip the pyramid and you start with self-actualization or meaningful work, you're going to have more impact. If you think about it, if you're doing what you're called to do, what you're best at, then you're going to be in better attunement with yourself, with the people around you. So you're going to have better relationships. You're going to actually probably be performing at your highest self. So, and that there's nothing greater security than that. I mean, just look about what happened in the pandemic. People that had jobs they thought were secure weren't secure anymore. But if you're secure in yourself, that you're capable of achieving, then you will, and make a contribution, then you will be able to do that, and then that will ultimately lead to your physical needs being met. So when people say they don't have enough time, I always want to like help them through this mental exercise of what does that mean, because time really is a relative thing. Einstein's the one that said that time is relative, because
Yeah.
5 minutes doing something you love, right? It's just time flies by. But 5 minutes doing something you don't want to do, it stands still. It's boring. And so it the idea is to put the energy, it's because really it's energy. It's not time that is your greatest resource.
Mhm. Interesting. Okay. So what kind of actionable tips do you have for people to kind of make the most of their time, or to get out of that sort of time poverty mentality?
Well, start small.
Okay, that's a
And
great
build
tip.
up. Absolutely. I mean, again, that comes back to the 5 minute success. Many people try to change everything overnight,
Yeah.
and that is really hard to sustain.
And then you
So
give up.
yeah, and then you give up. So start small and achieve some success. And then you'll want to do more. The people around you will want you to do more because they will like being around you better.
Yeah.
um, and so if something is meaningful for you, and that could be, for some people, it's, more exercise related, like yoga. Some people it's meditation. Some people it's, you know, improv. Whatever it's going to give you energy. So just think about it. Where do you get your energy? Do that. Start small, build up. And as you start to experience the benefits of it, you will want to do more, and you will find ways to do it more in your life.
Yeah. I like it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Karen, for sharing some of your success tips and, just some strategies for kind of moving the needle in your life. It's clearly you've had just a tremendous amount of success and have some keys to keeping that success going and rebuilding it when when it's gone. So thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing so much valuable wisdom. Please share with the listeners how they can learn more about you and anything else you want to share.
So to reach me, you can contact me via the 5 Minute Success website. That's the number five. The podcast is available wherever you hear podcasts, and it's also the number 5 Minute Success, whereas social media as well. For real estate, if you're in the Northern Virginia, DC metro region, or I can help you reach your real estate goals, that's Google Karen Briscoe. The HBC Group of Keller Williams is that. And if you're interested in visiting with me about how I can help you achieve a higher level success, I do have some slots, limited number for coaching, and you could access my calendar on the 5 Minute Success website.
Awesome. Well, I hope you all take some time to check Karen's stuff out. Clearly, she's got a lot figured out. Really great to have you on the show, Karen. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.
Sounds good.